Alright guys, so I wanted to talk about this mask mandate rescission, or that it was rescinded by a federal judge in Florida. And it seems like people are really either celebrating or losing their crap that the mask mandate was lifted. I think that it should have never been a full-on mask mandate. It should have been something that was recommended. You got to give people bodily autonomy to make their own decisions and to choose what they want. You also got to give establishments their own decisions, as the right to make their own decisions as well. We saw a lot of stuff happening during COVID that really showed the government's hand, right? And really showed that the government is going to try to push for complete and total control where it can. And a lot of this was made, a lot of decisions were made in the interest of public health and safety, but then, with the facts that they had at the time, but then data later showed that those decisions, and those mandates would not have made a difference. So here's my thing. If the masks don't really work, and there's evidence that the masks don't really work, but limiting capacity and things like that works, then, capacity into venues, etc., then why not try what works rather than, trying to mandate something that does not work? It's all about consistent and constant government control and the right to say, oh, I have this control over your life. And even for some businesses, they've decided this as well. Hey, I have control over my employees and their lives and this and that. It's ridiculous. It really is ridiculous. And the stuff that we saw happen during COVID just really tipped the government's hand. And so then you have a place like Baltimore City where there are more murders than COVID deaths. I wish that we treated the murder situation here in Baltimore like we did COVID. With, if you're going to have lockdowns and curfews and this and that, why not have it here in the city with all these, all these murders? There have been 110 days in 2020 so far. There's been 100 murders as of yesterday. The 100th murder or homicide was a 61-year-old woman who was found beaten and traumatized in her home. What the heck is going on here in the city? And why is no one speaking up? And why is no one really getting out here and helping? Look, quite frankly, I've been out here in the community. I've been out here in these streets since I was 12 years old, helping my grandma sweep the gutters over in Sandtown. My grandmother is in the community, doing many different things, and then her friends as well, doing many different things. My father has been in the community as well. I don't see, we have, what I mean by that is that we've been in the community, trying to make a difference, trying to make change, trying to connect with people. I don't see where the government is trying to do the things that actually work, except for under Mayor Sheila Dixon. Under Sheila Dixon, y'all could say that she was a crook and all those other things about that whole gift card situation. But truth be told, she was the only person, the only mayor that ever gave a hoot, that actually put put boots on the ground in terms of policing, with Frank Bedfeld, who knew the city, who she would also go into the communities with a broom, say, we got to sweep this stuff up. She would get out here. We don't have that anymore. Now, listen, we have Brandon Scott, and Brandon is doing the best that I think that he thinks he can do based on the politics, the optics, and the data and science that he has of, policing at this moment in time and all this other stuff. He's in lockstep with the Democratic thought, political thought or thought speak, whatever, of this time. But at the same time, it's a different time. We have young people who are not even getting a chance to live to see their 15th birthday. I mean, last year there was a 13-year-old kid, young girl, who got killed leaving the rec center. If the rec centers aren't even safe, where the hell are people safe at? Now, while I'm on this topic of the crimes and murders and everything else, let's talk about the spending that's been happening. We're talking about the political optics of the whole defund the police movement. I understand what the defund the police movement is, and it's saying, okay, we're going to take money away from the police departments and put them into community service organizations, community organizations that actually help people and try to provide social services and other trauma services and whatnot. Listen, hurt people, and with all these numbers of murders and stuff like that, the police can only respond after the fact, after a crime has already been committed. Why we do have to continue to fund the police, though. This whole defund the police movement is nonsense. If you ask a random black person living over in the hood, in Park Heights, in Sandtown, over in Barkley, anywhere, Belvedere, they're going to say, hey, nah, we need the police. We need the police. Why do we need the police? Because the police officers are more than just that. The police officers are more than just the people that respond after the crime. The police officers, more often than not, if they work that beat, they know the community. Some of them know the individuals in the community. Some of them know or have made attempts, at least for optics purposes, to be the good guy officer, the officer friendly, like my dad used to have when he was growing up, and I had until I was a young kid. You have officer friendly events. You're here in the city. Why don't we have that anymore? If you're talking about this whole defund the police, why can't we refund the police, fully fund the police, and fund social programs as well that help, cure the issues of crime, etc. Now, another thing that we got to talk about is, why are the police there to begin with? The police are there to begin with because they're responding to crimes. They're responding to the shootings that are happening. It is individual choices to pick up a gun and go shoot a gun. Listen, I'm a gun owner. Nobody says to me, oh, well, you have to take your gun and go shoot somebody else. Nobody says that. If I was to go take my gun somewhere, and a responsible gun owner would only shoot that gun either in training situation, hunting, or in the cases of a true intruder into their home to defend their home. So nobody tells me, okay, go take your gun and go shoot XYZ. No, you picked up that gun and you made that decision to go shoot somebody, and now you're mad that the police officers are responding to a neighborhood situation, or in your neighborhood even more, because there's been increased shooting, increased police activity, and then you get mad at the mayor, you get mad at this person, that person, and all these politicians, etc., because there's crime in your area, in your neighborhood, or little Boo Boo and Pookie got shot up. I'm not saying it's Boo Boo and Pookie's fault. What I am saying, though, is that the police are in that neighborhood for a reason. Now, there is systemic, in my belief, there's systemic racism is a thing, and systemic over-policing is a thing. There are certain neighborhoods that are more heavily policed than other neighborhoods, and a lot of that does have to do with conviction rates, crime numbers, and making some politicians look good. That's why I follow a libertarian form of thought, which says, hey, look, you you can't always trust government. You just can't. And so because you can't always trust government, and society is about preservation and making your thing, and et cetera, you have to make the best choices and the best decisions. And more often than not, the best choice and the best decision is not to pick up that gun to go shoot someone else, even in retaliation. If you have a gun for home defense or to go hunting, that's fine. But guns to go, attack someone, that's not okay. That's just not okay. And man, I'm just. Oh, another thing is the squeegee situation here in Baltimore. Is that you got kids who are on the street. They're out here trying to survive. You got a lot of my friends on the right, and particularly people who I actually voted for and care about their opinion, their political opinion. People like Kim Klacik, etc. I think that she, is an awesome community activist that has actually gotten out here and was in these streets trying to help individuals and help people. She is making a lot of hay over the squeegee situation and the dirt bike situation. You got to remember that these are kids that we're talking about. They need an outlet. They need somewhere where they can go have fun. Quite frankly, if you are just a random kid living on Park Heights Avenue, Ricerstown Avenue, Stricker Street, Baker Street, places in Sandtown, or places in Park Heights, places over in Barclay, you don't have, or even the Oliver neighborhood, you don't have that type of outlet, right? And so you're going to need an outlet. You're going to need somebody to believe in you, etc. I don't think that we need to have we shouldn't allow dirt bikers in the streets. That is a safety situation. But we should have some type of dirt bike park. We should have some type of zoning to allow for dirt bike and recreational activities. And I actually think that it would attract more than just the young people with the dirt bikes. Another thing is, you get the chance to regulate how they make it to that dirt bike park, and you get to have a little bit more control over the situation in the interest of public safety. So you libertarians do believe, there is libertarian thought out there that, hey, if something is in the interest of public safety, then it should be there, but just not outright regulation and incarceration of every dang on thing. That's how we end up with the bloated government budgets that we have right now for, the carceral state. Like, think about these things. Now, as in regards to the a squeegee situation, we gotta have more hands-on employment for these young people. We can't just have them running through traffic, running up on cars and stuff like that. We gotta have more hands-on situation. There's youth works. I was in youth works when I was a teenager I think it was for 2 separate summers. Why can't we have a program that goes like that all year round? We need programs that focus on the blight and vacancy. Well, first off, crime, because if you don't have safe communities, nobody's going to want to move there. Crime, jobs, education. Oh boy, let me get to the education piece. How do we have a school CEO that's made more than $1 million, in her tenure, but kids can't even freaking read? They can't read at grade level. They can't. And it's not the teachers' fault. It's not. A lot of conservatives will blame the teachers. It is not the teachers' fault. These teachers are out here working their asses off. It's the fault of the top level administration, who's decided that, hey, these kids just aren't worth it. We're going to push them through. We're going to get them out of here. We're going to keep going forward, with XYZ. It's just not sustainable. This, boy, oh boy, oh boy. And you know, the thing is that being from Baltimore, born and raised, I love my city. I really do. I love my city. And I've chosen to buy my home here, raise my family here, etc. But I don't know if I could continue to raise my family here with the price of, with the cost of taxes, cost of living, with the water bill situation, what I'm not even going to touch on, the privatization of poverty here in the city, and the crime, and in the schools. I mean, I'm a husband and a father, and my first responsibility is to take care and provide for, provide, protect, and take care of my family. That is becoming darn near, difficult here in the city because of all of the different issues, the crime, the education system, the cost of living. It's just really, it's becoming an unsustainable situation. And you got parents out here who are doing the very best that they can. You got working parents, like the household I grew up in, where my parents, they worked their tails off. My parents were, my father was a business owner. My father's a business owner. My mom and stepdad, they worked sometimes 2 jobs or more than 16 hours a day, 2 separate shifts, separate jobs, or even the same job sometimes, to make ends meet for us. And that was because we were going through, or I was growing up in the recession, or during the time of the recession. But we made things work, and we were just barely above the poverty line. We were, lower middle class. And in fact, I think it was funny that I was offered a scholarship to go to school, and then that scholarship was reneged because of my my parents' income, which was just a couple of dollars over the poverty line. And we were like, a couple of dollars over the income threshold, and we were like, how? But hey, the city is just becoming different, and it's getting harder and harder to live here. But for right now, we'll be more, and we're going to keep trying to do more. All right, guys, that's my my political rant of the day.